Hello, everyone, and welcome. I am the Progressive Moose. Just getting geared up here, guys. Bear with me as I get things going here. Happy Sunday, by the way. It's been another week. We've all made it through. So good on you. Keep up the good work, everybody. Hope everyone's summer has been going well so far. I am very much ready and able and geared to get going again on things, guys. Just getting things geared up for the show, guys. Show starts at 7. It's 7:51. Show starts at 8. So we got about 9 minutes till show time. So stick around. I will be getting going here shortly. Bear with me. Guys, the show starts in about 9 minutes. So take a seat, get cozy. And it's good to see you guys coming in. Thank you. I am back and geared and ready to go, everyone. I'm happy to be back at it. Sorry, still just sending out invites, everyone. Bear with me. Just getting things going. How is everyone doing out there? I hope everyone's doing good. Hey, Jax, good to see ya. Thanks for coming. What's going on, everybody? Just getting set up. I've got 8 minutes till showtime. So come hang out, pull up a seat, relax, and we will jump into things in about 8 minutes. We're gonna get the ball rolling, get the show moving. I have been on a break. I am back. Nikki, good to see ya. How you doing? How's the new little one doing? Hope all is going well over there. Yeah, no doubt. We've had it lucky where I'm at the last week or so. We haven't been as bad for smoke, so we've been lucky, and hopefully that continues. I know other people are still going to get it or get what we aren't getting for smoke right now. So hey, thank you, Kim. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. It's great to see you. Thanks for just popping in and saying hi. I really appreciate it. Guys, I have been gone for a little while. I'm going to get things up and going again with my show here on Sunday evenings as well. I'm hoping to possibly get another show going, say midweek. If you guys are interested, let me know. It might be something that I decide to do, break it up a little bit, go midweek. I think it'd be good. Uh, you as well, Kim. Thanks for stopping by. I really appreciate it. Again, yeah, I look forward to being able to have a conversation with you soon. Mm, Nikki, I'm looking here. I'm seeing your pictures. Wow. Yeah, see, and we haven't seen here anything like that. That is wow. Nikki, if you are able to stick around, by all means, please do so. Because part of what I'm going to be talking about is going to be the wildfire stuff, not only there, but across Canada. That is going to be part of tonight's show. VA, good to see you. Hello. Thanks for coming. Guys, don't forget to tap that like button and share that we are gathering. so excited to get back at it, guys. So share the stream. Let's get more people around. Let's get people gathered. Let's get talking about this stuff we should be paying attention to, I feel, on the forefront here in Canada. Yeah, no doubt. We had Sudbury 17 2 years ago, Nikki, which was close to home here, and I remember it looked a hell of a lot like that. So my thoughts have been with everybody in communities and in places that have been dealing with the wildfires. Um, my thoughts are with you all, and I really, really, really hope um, that we start to see the numbers go down in terms of the fires. We start to see them become more under control, and just let's let's get a breath of fresh air, for lack of better words, right now, given what we're talking about. But let's hopefully get a breath of fresh air soon. Yeah, that's the best I got, guys. It is crazy. Um, it's crazy that so many are looking at the wildfire situation across not just the country but the world and just like, oh, it's just another summer. No, like this isn't normal. Okay, we shouldn't be seeing this. We shouldn't be living through this. And we need to keep that in mind. This isn't normal, and this is going to continue to get worse. But we're going to do our best to put out the proper information and do our best to push back. Caveat to that, there will be talking about different aspects of things. Um, that are linked to the wildfires, different conversations that can be had from there, because I believe it is important. So we'll be talking about that. Yeah, there's recent updates the last week or so, a little more, a couple days here. In terms of Mark Carney, we're going to dive into Carney and the Liberals and, kind of how I'm looking at things right now, break down a lot of different points. There's going to be some good guys and some bad. I'm not going to lie. You know me. I'm going to call out what needs to be called out, and I'm going to give credit where credit's due. That's why I've always done it, and I will continue to do that with Mark Carney now in charge with the Liberals. So stay tuned for that. We will dive into that. Yeah, other than that, guys, I hope everyone's summer has been great. I realize, again, given the fires and situation across Canada with them all, but hopefully everyone's been able to enjoy their summer. As it wraps up, kids are going back to school and time to get back into normal routine, I guess, for a lot of people. So, kind of figured I'd try and come back around this time. Hello, Pasty. How are you? I hope you're doing well. And of course, guys, as always, I do very much appreciate everyone. And if you want to come up, be part of the conversation, always remember you can send a request. If you have points to add to the stuff that we're talking about, I'm always up for having it. Oh, there you go. Got done your rip. Hopefully it was a good trip. There you go, guys. All right, we are 2 minutes till showtime. Everyone, don't forget tapping is clapping, sharing is caring. I would really appreciate it as I start to get geared back up into doing the show and getting my stuff going again. Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a process getting back into things properly. So bear with me as I kind of find my footing a little bit again doing this stuff. Turn that background noise off. Oh, absolutely. I'm sure the trip was good, but it always feels good just getting back home after a trip, regardless of what it is. Just that feeling of you're back in your space and just good to go. All right, we are at 7:59, guys. One more time, I'm going to remind everybody: don't forget, tapping is clapping and sharing is caring. So if you feel up to doing it, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And we are at 8 o'clock, guys. So you are here with myself, the Progressive Moose. I am back on the air, guys, doing my live. And I really appreciate everybody that's here now and everybody that I'm sure will be joining as the show goes on. Thank you guys. Really appreciate it. Um, yeah, so there's been a lot through the summer, guys. When you're looking at it, I mean, pretty much the biggest breakdown, or not the biggest, but the best breakdown to do kind of a quick version is, of course, Carney won the election. He's now got a cabinet with the Liberals. Conservatives lost their minds because Pierre Poilievre lost his seat initially. Now we have done the by-election for Pierre Poilievre, and he has won that election. So now, as the leader of the opposition, official opposition party, he now has a seat. Whether we like it or not, whether we agree with how he got it, it is what it is. So we have to move forward in that fashion. Now, with all that being said, I do want to kind of stop and talk about Pierre Poilievre at the moment and the Conservatives because I think it's important. Um, all the talking points right now that they have is essentially the same as what you saw with Justin Trudeau in terms of their dictators or its authoritarian rule in one way, shape, or form, or all that jazz. Um, we've all heard it. Now, I'm going to say the same thing now as I did with that rhetoric towards Justin Trudeau. First and foremost, actually, the only big point on that is if it was authoritarian, if they were trying to have a dictator rule, let me remind those that decide to have that point of view that if that were the case, you would not be able to fly your flags. And as of right now, it used to be the fuck Justin Trudeau flags. But right now, we currently have the fuck Carney flags because they had to upgrade. Apologies. As well, guys, tomorrow is the 25th, and if I'm not mistaken, I do want to mention that we are supposed to be seeing another convoy hitting the streets of Ottawa. They are going to gather in their masses in the capital. Um, yeah, that's the best I got. We've been hearing it pretty much every year as the quote unquote anniversary hits, that they are going to be doing another one and it's going to be crazy. Ottawa is going to be flooded with people. I don't anticipate much to happen. Do I think there will be some movement towards the capital? Absolutely. I think there are individuals out there or groups of people that will show up because it is a different prime minister and show their discontent for Carney. Um, and that's a whole nother bubble all on its own as well. I will very much later get into the nitty gritty on Carney and points of contention and things I absolutely think he's doing wrong and needs to do better on. Um, but I will give him credit where credit's due. So we got to look at every kind of situation, every aspect. You can't lump it all together, right? We have to use nuance in that sense. So, but yeah, so I don't expect there to be much of a turnout in Ottawa tomorrow. I'll be paying attention, but I don't expect it to be too crazy or anything. Um, yeah. So that being said, let's get into Carney a little bit here, guys, and what we're seeing from the Liberal Party. First and foremost, I want to start with trade aspect. Now, everybody knows there's been this whole tariff war with the United States. Things have kind of been here, there, quite a few different viewpoints and talking points on trade with the United States and trade as a whole. Um, this whole notion that elbows up is done or Carney's elbows are down at this point, I don't believe that to be so, as like the saying indicates, coming from hockey. That's just one aspect of hockey, right? You need to learn to play the puck, and I know Carney said that within his press conference. I believe it was 3 days ago. But it's true, and there's different aspects to the game of hockey, and you can't just play elbows up. Um, Now, that being said, are we the best situated with when it comes to trade with the United States right now? Absolutely. We do have the best deal right now with the United States. It's always been the case, of course, but and I'm not giving it a pass or saying things are okay because I know they're not. But we are the best off right now in terms of trade with the United States. Um, so interested to see how things go, guys. I think the temperature's been kind of turned down a little bit. And I feel like a lot of the pressure that Trump is feeling, not only on the tariffs and trade and all that globally, I think Trump is being worn down and his administration and his supporters with everything else going on. Hashtag share the files, Donald. Um, since we're on that too, guys, I want to quickly mention if you haven't heard, the White House has created a official TikTok account, and it is fantastic to go and even just read the comments. I encourage everybody to go check it out, read the comments. Hell, I'd say add to the comments. You know, as Canadians, it's kind of a bit of a middle finger to Trump and their administration. So by all means, hop on over there, kind of stir the pot a little bit. And yeah, Donald Trump, if by chance you ever happen to see this, release the actual files, man. Come on, just do it. We already know you're in there. We already know you're implicated. We've got the evidence already. As well, guys. That being said, make sure you support the women. Like we need to start listening to the victims, listening to the children who are now at this point. A lot of them are no longer children, but we need to listen to them and believe what they're saying. That is the biggest point I can say right now on that stuff. But I've gone off track, so we're going to kind of loop back around, guys. Um, so, in terms of trade, when it comes to the situation with both the U.S. and the world, although Carney moves to drop tariffs towards America, there's also, at the same time, quite a few ministers from cabinet that are out in the world right now. They're visiting other countries and they are talking about trade, they are talking about security. Um, so Canada is branching out quite a bit right now. One of the examples that I have is Finland. Melanie Jolie is currently, I believe, in Finland, if she hasn't returned yet. So if she has, I apologize. But she has been in Finland talking to them about trade as well as security, as Finland has become a part of NATO at this point. And Canada was on the forefront and was one of the first ones to approve their request to become a part of NATO. So we've stood pretty close with Finland for a while, and there are some close ties there. So it'll be interesting to see what we can do there in terms of trade. Um, as well, Mark Carney himself had gone to Germany and was speaking with the officials in Germany to get some trade going there, and I believe security as well. Hey, Auntie, how you doing? Good to see you. Thanks for stopping in. Um, but yeah, so Canada is diversifying trade quite a bit right now. Um, and it's really going to make up the shortfalls. I think we're already seeing quite a bit happen. We've seen oil already leave, I believe, Vancouver to be shipped to Asia through trade. So quite a bit's going there. And I think that's a part of the plan. Yes, we're kind of playing the game with the United States right now with trade, but we're also diversifying. And that just means we're not going to be as dependent on the United States. And that's going to give us another leg up when it comes to negotiations surrounding trade and security. So definitely good things to see from the liberals in terms of trade, and yeah, hopefully it keeps moving forward in that sense. Now that being said, I am going to criticize Carney at this point in time because I want to keep it balanced. As we know, guys, and I will always speak up about this, Bill C5 federally, that was put through Parliament and voted in with the support of some conservatives. I want to be very clear on this. Hey, Art, good to see you. But I want to be very clear on this. Okay? The fact is, when it comes to Bill C5, I'm going by what I see, and I don't speak for anyone who's indigenous. I don't speak for the indigenous population. But I mean, if you haven't seen it yet, guys, there have been chiefs speak out against Bill C5. There have been so many people rallying together and saying no. Like there are major issues with this. And the breakdown of it is essentially bypassing the duty to consult, and it bypasses environmental protections if the government deems it. Yeah, absolutely. The bill violates treaties. You're absolutely right, Jax. Um, but there's so much in there, right? And it's all under the protection for the government of as long as what our decision is in the best national interest, right? So essentially saying if we think it's in the best national interest, to hell with the treaties, to hell with environmental protections. We're going to go ahead and do it because this is what's best for the country. No, what's best for the country is you actually listen to the people in the areas that you're possibly going to affect. Um, and just listen to the people in general. It's that simple, in my opinion. Um, so that is a point of contention, absolutely, and I will always be vocal on that one um, because we have to keep our government accountable, regardless of who it is, what party, what their position is. You need to carrots and sticks. Put it that way, carrots and sticks. Give them the carrots when they do a good job, and give them the stick when they don't. That is how we need to treat politicians, regardless of party, regardless of who you vote for. You need to look at all politicians the same way in that sense. Keep that in mind, guys. Um, yeah, along the way, just quickly, Carney made a stop in Ukraine and pledged ongoing support for Ukraine, including working together to build drones and more. As well, did not rule out Canadian troops being pledged as the EU steps up its support for and with Ukraine. And we saw that when the sorry guys, when the president of Ukraine went and visited Donald Trump, we saw quite a few individuals, quite a few representatives from the EU sitting with Zelensky. Um, And really, I mean, I watched quite a bit of coverage on that, guys, and my favorite has got to be go check out the Midas Touch. If you haven't heard of them, they do fantastic work. I watch them over on YouTube, but they break down how a lot of representatives from European countries, NATO, and other world organizations sat down with Zelensky and pretty much put Trump in his place and said, listen, this is what we're going for, ceasefire. If you cannot make this happen, and pretty much told them, like, we are looking for pledges of security, your word that you will do your job as a part of NATO and be on the right side of history in standing with the EU and other places that have had enough of Russia's shit. Apologize for the swearing, but enough is enough. A ceasefire. Trump says about, oh, we got to negotiate, and I wouldn't say ceasefire. You know, it comes from negotiations. Nah, man, negotiations get you the ceasefire, but to be able to negotiate in good faith, you need to see a damn ceasefire. Like that is the end result. That is what you want, regardless, whether it's through negotiations or whether it's a random thing or however it happens. That's the end goal. So Canada didn't take part in that meeting with everyone. However, we again, Carney made a stop and he has pledged ongoing support, so that is fantastic to see. Yeah, so that's what I got right now on the federal level. Um, I've got quite a bit here, guys. I'm going to have to sift through. But one thing I want to start off with now will be in Quebec. So we're talking about, before we were talking about C5 on the federal level being pushed through with the support of the Conservatives and the overreach that it has. We've seen the same push over in Alberta with different legislation and different policies trying to be pushed through. We've seen the same thing here in Ontario with Bill 5 with the Doug Ford Conservative government, where in all those cases they trample on treaties and, again, to hell with environmental protections. So we're seeing it across the board, and Quebec is now kind of stepping into that puddle as well. Quebec is proposing Bill 97. It's a controversial forestry reform that modernizes the province's forest management by creating a three-zone system: conservation, multi-use, and, let's see here, priority forest development zones, with a significant focus on timber harvesting. They introduced it on April 23rd this year. The bill faces strong opposition from First Nations, environmental groups, and unions who argue it threatens ecosystems, Indigenous rights, and traditional livelihoods by prioritizing logging over conservation. The core conflict in over decision making, with Indigenous leaders wanting a more collaborative approach and greater say in managing their ancestral territories. It's This is what we're seeing across Canada, guys, and I'm so happy to hear that there is the pushback in all instances, whether it's in Quebec, here in Ontario, over in Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, like across the country. There's pushback to all this stuff, and I love it. Keep it up, guys. This is what we need to do. This is what it's about. Okay, at least to me, standing up against this shit, pushing back as the people and saying enough is enough. Um, yeah, so like I said, so the key aspects there, the three zone kind of model they're talking about, the public forest would be divided into three broad zones: conservation area, multi use, and priority for developing zones for intensive logging. Um, Sustainable forest development licenses. The bill replaces existing 5 year supply guarantees with 10-year licensing, intended to encourage a long term investment in uh, silviculture. So essentially, it's saying we're going to extend these licensings to log from 5 years to 10 years, which would get rid of a lot of regulatory stuff that companies would have to do, because normally when you do your licensing, you also have to prove certain things, that you harvest responsibly, that you take care of things properly, that you're replanting, that you're doing things in a sustainable way. Um, and that's kind of a review that companies get when they renew their licensing for logging. Okay, so it would essentially loosen up regulation in that sense, and probably in a lot of other ways. Art, good to see you. Thanks, buddy. Yes, guys, don't forget, tapping is clapping, sharing is caring. And I really appreciate all the support. Art, thank you so much. Um, Sorry, break that up a little bit. Guys, you are fantastic. Thank you for all the love. I really do appreciate it. I have been seeing it here as I dive into things. Um, so, threat to the Indigenous rights aspect of it. Many First Nations argue the bill infringes on their rights and traditional territories, as they were not adequately consulted, which again, we've seen across Canada, regardless of what province you're in. And really, at this point, it doesn't matter what level of government. Kellogg, thank you so much. I see you in there. Appreciate it. Um, yeah, like this is what we need to see. So critics warn the bill prioritizes industrial logging over the long-term health of the ecosystems and biodiversity, which absolutely. Um, we've seen that quite a bit, right? That's not going to change, unfortunately. Oh, you should, Kellogg. You really should. I love you, man. So, of course, guys, there's a lack of collaboration with First Nations on this, so that's the biggest contention point at this point. And the current status of pushback, guys, there are protests and there have been blockades, particularly in Indigenous territories, to stop the bill. So they are pushing back. You go, Quebec. Everybody that is pushing back in Quebec, right on. We stand with you. If you're from Quebec or you're a part of it, thank you so much. It is fantastic. Keep up the great work. And hopefully, we see the same thing happen across the country, which we have already seen. Guys, if you're paying attention, like, I don't know how many times I go to look and stay up to date on the news, and I see interviews and I see press releases with First Nations leaders, with chiefs, and they're all saying the same damn thing. Like the government essentially is throwing everything that has been a framework and a as bad as of a framework as it is in ways, they're trampling all over it. Okay, and time to just cut the shit on that. Yeah. So now couple that, guys, and I want to kind of transition into talking about the wildfire stuff. But that's one thing that I wanted to link together right now in terms of industry in the logging sector and the wildfires. Okay, when you look at how much forest, how many hectares, how much size of land that was trees, as far as the eye could see, that has burnt up not only this year, last year, and the year before that, okay, all building up to how much have we lost for forest land, okay, and it counterproductive for in Quebec right now for Quebec to be pushing back and trying to loosen logging regulation essentially when we've lost so many trees, so much forest to these wildfires. Like, I get it. It's an industry, it's a big portion of Canadian trade and our economy. So I understand that. But given our situation, I think it's time to kind of shift focus and move maybe a little bit away from that, given everything we're seeing right now, right? Like, this is I hate to use the word common or the term common sense because common sense is in the opinion of the person that's saying it, right? But I mean, come on. I don't understand how like the two like when we're talking about this stuff, you never see it in mainstream media. The correlation between the two, right? They're always separate. They talk about the fires and they talk about the logging industry, and it's always separate. They never bring it together and think, hey, wait a minute, let's connect those dots, right? Because maybe it's time to kind of move away from that and see if we can figure something else out. Because at the rate things are burning, yeah, how much are we actually going to be able to keep logging without making a massive, massive impact, even more so on top of the fires, right? Sorry, a bit of a rant there, but I hope everyone understood what I'm getting at there. Um, Yeah, because not very often I see a breakdown of the two in correlation with each other, which there really should be at this point. Oh, Kellogg, absolutely. And I mean, as much as I've seen quite a bit in terms of hemp being a viable option for not only, paper and other things, um, hell, I've seen hemp apparently. There's a lot of work being done for building supplies in terms of making hemp into building supplies. And I know that's not a fix all be all. I'm not saying that's, the perfect fix. I don't know enough on that, but I know there has been a lot of innovation in different places in the world, mostly outside of Western society, that have really push that envelope in trying to find different ways of building and just making different materials or making materials with different things. So, um, yeah, that's key. But I think that's something that we won't see much of a push for in the West. Um, if we do start to see different things here, it will be probably created or thought of, designed, all that somewhere in the East, and then just kind of globally takes off, and you'll see it here more so. Um, that's really a lot of what we see in innovation today, for the vast majority of things, because Canada, or the companies anyway, or corporations in Canada failed to really put enough emphasis on innovation and research. Um, you know, it's something that maybe if they stop doing record amount of stock buybacks, they might be able to sink more money into that stuff and actually do good for all this stuff. Uh, we can curb our path. Oh, absolutely, 1,000% Kellogg. We are on the same page. I absolutely agree with you on that. 1,000%, buddy. Um, yeah. So okay. So national wildfire situation right now, guys. Um, I have in front of me the Government of Canada Natural Resources Canada. They have numbers on there. It gets a little jumbled, a little kind of wacky and hard to understand sometimes. So I'm going to break it down the best I can for you. So as of right now, the number of fires, so the average number of fires has gone down. So the 10-year average is 4,849. And currently to date in 2025, Canada is sitting at 4,602. Um, so the amount has gone down. However, the area is greatly bigger this year than what the average normally is. So keep that in mind. They're burning hotter and they're burning bigger, right? So just because we're not getting the same amount, they're burning more out of control. Okay, so area wise, 10-year average to date is 3,320,075 hectares. This year alone, we are sitting at 7,612,278 hectares in 2025 alone. So that right there, guys, that is almost like just short of literally double the 10-year average in 2025 alone. Um, So, one point that I will say, we are seeing a lot more activity for fires in the east of Canada as well this year. Um, I realize there has already been activity in previous years, but it's definitely amped up with there being drought conditions, more so this year in the east provinces. So that is absolutely a big driving factor, I think, in terms of the numbers too and what we're seeing. Nikki, I'm glad you came up for this.
Hi, Moose. How are you?
I'm doing good. Did you want to jump into it a bit? You're in New or Nova Scotia, so being
Yeah.
there, did you want to give us kind of?
So we've had a few wildfires, including in past years. This year is definitely the worst for it. Right now, sorry, that's bug zappers. um, Right now, the fire is up to almost 5,000 hectares in the West Dalhousie Long Lake Fire.
Yeah.
The smoke is traveling through the whole province, as you've seen in some of the pictures. Actually, if you give me 1 second.
Absolutely.
So I'm 59 kilometers away, and this was my backyard.
Yeah.
To like, there's ash on our cars
Yeah.
from a fire 59 kilometers away. Over in Newfoundland, their fire is over 11,000 hectares.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy to see. Like I said, to the scale and size is the biggest sticking point with what we're seeing across the country right now. Like Northwest Territories, I believe it is, has a massive fire going on right now as well. Um, that is at the top of the list for concern. So yeah, like that's my biggest sticking point to anyone that is curious on this stuff is always look at the size, right, and whether it's under control, if it's still wild, so to speak, or not
Like
under
the
control.
fire here, they had to evacuate firefighters from fighting it on the ground because it got too dangerous. Right now, we only have air support.
No,
Yeah.
they moved them back in.
How did they move them back into some areas?
Well, some areas, but they're way back now.
Yeah, they're way back.
Okay. Yeah, and this
They
is
just
this is the
expanded the
reality.
evacuation area.
Yeah. See, and this is the reality for a lot of Canadians right now. Now, Nikki, I'm curious. In terms of, I know there's fire bans and such in Nova Scotia, of course. New Brunswick has taken what people would consider more drastic measures in terms of staying out of the bush and whatnot.
So
Uh,
that's us too. It is a $25,000 fine if you are caught in the woods. If you have a fire, they're even asking you not to go fishing
okay.
because well, there's brooks that I've never seen dried up that are now bone dry. Plus, also, you have to look at the water temperatures. Like, I wouldn't go fishing now anyway because the fish are already stressed out. But Nova Scotia, there's a lot of people that are extremely upset and saying it's an abuse of power and like conspiracy theorists and shit. But in reality, you shouldn't be in the woods. Like the West Dalhousie fire, that was caused by a lightning storm. And the whole
Yeah.
reasoning behind taking these drastic measures are because if you're in the woods and something happens and a fire starts, those firefighters are going to be too busy looking for you. They're not going to be able to attack the fire at a mannerly time.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to reiterate that as well, and break it down a bit more too, because the biggest thing that I've been seeing a lot of is, like you said, there are people. This is an infringement of our rights. You can't do this. First and foremost, when it comes to New Brunswick, conservatives that think this. New Brunswick is a conservative province. If I'm not mistaken, so is Nova Scotia. Is it not, Nikki?
Liberals now.
Oh, okay.
Really, though, we are conservative.
Yeah. Um, so that being said as well, so when they put out the numbers or they say that it's human involvement or human started, sorry, the biggest thing people need to realize is things are so dry in these areas that even taking a side by side or quad out into the bush, if you're ripping around on that thing for a while and you stop above or you stop in a, say, grassy area and the grass is dry, that exhaust or that stuff underneath your vehicle, whatever it might be, is hot, right? So when you have those dry conditions and the hot conditions, and you add, a lot of people are using the exhaust as an example, saying if that exhaust gets hot enough, that will start a fire. Pure and simple. So it's not even that somebody's deliberately doing it. Um, there's one instance I believe in Newfoundland, if I'm not mistaken. If I am, I apologize. They talked about how somebody had a fire out. They were out for a hike or something. They had a fire. They put it out. They did the right thing in that sense, right? Like they made sure it was out before they left. However, it got down and into the roots, so the roots were smoldering. It came back up out of the ground and started going, right? So it's not even a matter of people deliberately doing, um, where we hear a lot of conservatives using those talking points as well. No, it's human involvement, and they're trying to cut down on that human involvement. And like Nikki said, it's not only for the fire, safety aspect, like just to make sure, it's also to make sure they don't have to stretch resources even more than what they already have because somebody decides to be a dumbass, for lack of better words. Um,
Also, you have to take into consideration, like when there's, especially from all the hurricanes we've had, all the deadfall mulch, that can spontaneously combust and start its own fire.
yep. No,
Throwing a cigarette butt with how dry things are into the
yep,
grass.
absolutely. Even around here, and thank you, Jane, for the comment. She's in central Ontario and says we have fires from train sparks, um, and fires from farmers taking in their hay. Exactly, and that's another point too. Again, getting back to the off-road vehicles and everything. Um, you hit a stone the right way and send it flying with a tire, and it happens to hit something and spark. That can do it because conditions are so dry.
The farm that
Um,
my stepdad works at, their combine caught on fire because it hit a rock and caused a spark, which caught the hay. And
yeah,
like Pat just said, what was it? Over 50%?
All 50% of all wildfires within Canada are started by
yeah,
humans.
And
in
he's a
one way or another.
firefighter.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm a firefighter.
Well, thank you very much for everything you guys are doing. If there's honestly, I would love to ask him if there's one thing you could say as a firefighter right now to people to just get a message out. What is it?
Uh, Practice fire safety. That's literally one of the biggest things. Whether you're in the woods, out of the woods, at home, just wherever. It's
No,
it's actually it's one of the worst ways to die. Not to mention, it's one of the things that people don't actually train on. Believe it or not.
And also learn how to use a fire extinguisher.
yes,
Yeah,
absolutely, yes.
I've seen a
Uh,
few people that forget to pull the pin.
yeah, and I myself, I'm somebody. I love the outdoors. I love camping. I love sitting around the fire. We had a fire ban in my area. It was lifted the other day, so we managed just in the backyard, of course, but we managed to have a fire last night, so that was good. But even when I'm out in the bush, I mean, guys, don't be irresponsible when you're out camping, having a fire in the bush. Like, just don't be done with it. Make sure you're taking care of it. It doesn't get out of hand. It's contained well enough. And of course, always put it out when you're done. If you're camping, put it out before you go to bed just to make sure nothing bad can happen, right? Like, just don't mess around with it. That's the last thing we need on an already exacerbated
And like
Canadian
that
forest.
Newfoundland fire, that's wild. Like I have family over in Newfoundland. My stepdad's originally from Newfoundland. He has a house over there that his dad lives in. And was I think the town next to them has evacuated,
Yeah.
and now it's reached over 11,000 hectares, so they're just kind of on alert waiting for the order for them to be evacuated.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. All my dad's side of the family is out in New Brunswick, so um, a lot of my family has been right in the forefront of it as well, and it's crazy to me, what we're seeing. Experts as well are um, expecting the season to change, but we will have a bit longer of a fire season this year, to wrap it up, for lack of better words. And I mean, I don't know, guys. Like, even look at this year, right? Look at in Alberta. As soon as the snow was gone and everything was, thawed out, it was instant, right? Because we saw where in Alberta there were places the roots were still smoldering. So as soon as it dried up enough, back up out of above ground and just started back up again. So technically, their fire season from last year didn't end; it just carried on into this year. Yeah, see, and that's those guys. We saw those, like I said, Nikki, 2 years ago here, and I just wow.
And like it was crazy to see how fast it moved through the sky. Like one minute it was behind the building and like by the next it was over the building.
Yeah, that's
And then
insane.
you're freaking ash falling everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So guys, keep an eye on the fire situations, of course. And again, the caveat of what we're seeing in terms of government's kind of overreach and everything when it comes to industry at the same time as we're seeing record numbers in terms of land mass that's burning. Kind of counterproductive. So, I'm not trying to be a doomsdayist in saying that, but it is a reality, and we need to keep that in mind. Um,
So something that people should learn is how to extinguish different fires.
yes, absolutely. And that was one thing I actually worked. So I worked at a lumber mill for a couple years, and that was one thing I noticed working at a lumber mill. The individuals you think would know best in terms of how to put out what kind of fire would know didn't know. Especially electric fires and stuff like that. It really it was eye opening. Because I mean, we had quite a few fires out there. Long story short, and it just I never understood how people didn't take it more seriously in terms of the you know fire hazard and how to deal with it properly. It just unreal to me. Uh, yeah. So with that, guys, I do want to shift a little bit more yet again. Thank you so much, Nikki, for coming up. I really appreciate that. Sorry, I was looking at my computer. Thank you for coming up, Nikki. Thank you for your input and letting us know boots on the ground in Nova Scotia. And guys, continue to keep people across Canada, in the East and in the West and everywhere in your thoughts. And keep an eye out. There's quite a different ways people have been helping out, whether it's opening up a room or just a space for people to stay while they are displaced due to wildfires and everything. Um, yeah, it's really great to see how Canadians have come together to help one another as well during this time for the people that have been um, going through what they have been. So, all right, so I am going to shift again here. I do want to bring up something that I think fell to the wayside. Um, and please, if you know more, let me know because I have been looking into it a bit more. I know, well, here, let me get into it and then we'll dive into that aspect. So, with everything going on, especially with all the movements across Canada, I did a little looking into things because I happen to remember the Idle No More movement. Um, for anyone that doesn't know, that was during the Harper days that the I Don't Know More started. It started out west, um, and it was a peaceful revolution that was pretty much spearheaded and done by different indigenous groups coming together to push back against, I believe it was pipelines, and industry essentially. So that's where your profile pic is from. Awesome. See, and that's where. So there you go. Um, that's where I wanted to kind of shift to. Hello, don't be suspicious.
It's Marshy, don't worry.
I know. How you doing, Smarsh?
I'd be good if I could stop stabbing myself with pointy objects.
Well, I mean, don't do that. Come on now.
Hey, I wasn't trying to, it just kind of happens to be my end all be all, I guess, because I just stuck a toothpick in my hand by accident. So, there's that, but I'm just
There you go.
otherwise.
Yeah, no, good to see you. It's been quite a while. I've been gone, so um,
Yeah.
now, Smarsh, on what I'm talking about here, the I don't know more. You're out west. You have a bit more info in terms of kind of how that started.
Can you repeat that? Because I kind of missed the last bit of what you were talking about before I came up here.
So it's the Idle No More movement that happened, I believe it was 2012, against Stephen Harper and what they were trying to do in terms of the oil industry. Ooh, did we lose you?
I can kind of give my perspective on that.
Hmm.
I think I don't know more as a person myself. I believe I don't know more was a good thing. I just think people didn't understand it. Right? They just thought we were, I don't know how to explain it. But
No, and that's fine. So the biggest thing I want to point out when it comes to the I don't know more is I wouldn't say stumble. I deliberately went to the website and I actually have it up right now. So there's quite a bit that they have done, even up till now. The website doesn't look like it's been updated for minimum couple years at this point. However, if you go on to different social media, Facebook, um, they are still pretty active and are doing a lot of things. And I think we need to highlight um, the I don't know more, sorry, campaigns and actions because they have worked quite a bit with Cancel Canada Day movement.
yes,
I don't know more in solidarity with Palestinian people. Um,
right. See, my interpretation of that is I'm all for canceling Canada Day. I don't fly the Canada flag in my house. And there's a reason, because I was talking with some of the Indigenous creators on here, and one of them pointed out why when I celebrate a country that continues to celebrate the genocide of our people, which makes sense.
mhm.
And I took that to heart, and I haven't celebrated, like I said, I haven't celebrated Canada Day since 2020, maybe even more. I find no reason or rhyme to, right? Like I don't know.
No, I get where you're coming from. I'm going to veer off quickly here. I apologize. Uncle Trappin. Well, it's clearly in the name. You're essentially a troll there, Uncle. But that being said, from your comment, first and foremost, it's already been debunked that Trump hasn't stopped five wars, first and foremost. And what Canada is doing is standing in solidarity with Ukraine, with the rest of the world, especially EU countries who's had enough of Russia's shit. And if Trump can't get off his orange ass and stop sucking Putin's cock, I apologize for my language, everyone, but that's what's happening.
Oh
If he
no,
can
it's a
get off
great
his
word.
knees and actually stand up with the rest of the world and maybe fulfill his NATO obligations, hey, just saying,
Hey,
maybe get on the right
and
side of history.
not even to say that, it's the fact that America had an agreement. There was the Budapest Memorandum, Uncle Trappin. If you don't understand, Google's free. Use it. Um, so if the United States and Russia wouldn't have fucked Ukraine, we wouldn't have to go and send money or help or weaponry or whatever it is we're sending them. Because again, if Donald Trump would stop bending over backwards and
Hmm.
letting Putin do him up the ass
And
dry, we wouldn't have this fucking issue because they're both dictators,
yeah,
along
and
with so
just
many people.
just one more quick response as well to that comment, and then guys, we'll move forward with what we were talking about. Um, However, one thing I want to point out is people want to talk about that sort of stuff. I'm going to be a smartass and say you got to remember Canada's reason why there's a Geneva Convention. So fuck around and find out there, bud.
No,
Um,
it's not a Geneva Convention anymore. It's just a fucking checklist.
well, yeah, it's the Geneva Suggestion is how I like to say it. Um,
Oh, I just call it a checklist.
um, but yeah, so getting back into it, guys, that's one thing I think people need to be more aware of. The idle no more. And honestly, pay attention to your local movements and what's going on the ground because whether you're in Alberta, it's going to be different than what we see here in Ontario. Same with Quebec, it's different there, so on and so forth, right? So just pay more attention to locally, what's going on the ground,
Yeah.
how you can get involved, how you can help get the word out, or even be boots on the ground like in Quebec where they've got the blockades and the protests happening. Um,
See, this is one thing I don't understand, Moose, and maybe some way I'll never understand. How is it okay that the freedom convoyers can have their little temper tantrum and what we know it was, but we can't be idle no more because of the genocide we're still fucking going through. I
yeah,
don't understand that. I will
and
only
that's
stand with idle no more, and that's the thing. I will stand with idle no more. Knowing more and more about my family history and my culture and my indigenous people, I will stand idle no more because I'll be damned if you fucking tell me to shut up.
yeah, absolutely, and I'm a thousand percent on board with it. I'm still like I've said before, and I'll say again, like as soon as there's something that I can make it to, I'm there. You know, I will be boots on the ground doing what I can. Um,
Hmm.
and I think that's not I think that's what we all as Canadian citizens at this point need to do because it's not a matter of, right versus left. It's not a matter of woke versus whatever the hell the other side is.
But see,
It's a
that's the
matter of,
thing. There,
sorry, go
and
ahead,
I
Smart.
want I want to push back on that woke shit. That's something they're taking out of context.
Yeah,
It's not even. They don't even know what the fuck it really means. They appropriated that word from the black community. That's what it meant.
yeah,
All woke really meant when they coined the phrase woke was watch your back and make sure you got your six. That's
yeah, and
literally all it meant.
and we need to start honestly, and I've already started doing it. Is start laughing in their faces when they try to use that as an insult. Because even if we want to go with, let's say, the definition that they're going with. So and my question would be to conservatives that think woke is a bad thing, when did it become a bad thing to have empathy? Did it become a bad thing to want the same rights and the same things for all people regardless of differences? Um,
It's it's never been a bad thing to
no,
progressive people. Oh, everyone calls me woke all the time. They're like, "Oh my God, you're so woke." I'm like, "Thank you. I'm a progressive, but call me what you will, right? I'm not
yeah,
gonna sugarcoat this shit. A conservative wants to call me a woke person. I'll just punch a Nazi in the face. I don't care.
yeah,
I'm buying
absolutely.
a shirt that I want to normalize punching Nazis in the face. Sorry, like
So as bad as it is to say, I will honestly say, Smart. I will be honest. I am waiting for the day, and I have actually had this conversation with a coworker who decided to pretty much say that, admit that they're a bigot. Um, I remember saying in the work truck, we were driving down the road, and I pretty much said, I can't wait until I can do something to Nazis. And he's like, huh? And I was like, yeah, get my old skateboard out and do the old good, curb thing like we used to do back in the day. And he kind of like, oh, well, And I was like, yeah, well, if you're on the wrong side of history, bud, I guess you're going to be seeing the bottom
Well,
side of my
if you're gonna,
skateboard quite a bit.
and this is my theory. If you don't want to, like, there's a shirt out there on T Public, and I'm not making, I don't get paid for this at all. So this is just my little thing that I found that I really love. It says, if it talks like a Nazi, walks like a Nazi, it's probably a Nazi, and then punch it in the face. Right?
Yeah.
If you're gonna do Nazi shit, like those, I don't know if you guys heard the five military guys in Canada. They were doing the Nazi salute, and they got
Yes.
charged with a hate crime. Don't do Nazi shit if you don't want to get charged with a hate crime. I'll
Yeah.
punch a Nazi in the face. There are so many Nazis around this fucking city that I live in Alberta. I'll punch
Well, and
everybody.
that's
I don't give a fuck.
and that's the biggest thing. And I even realize, like, I still to this day, everyone, like, I will be fully honest, the job or not job, but what I do here on TikTok and the content that I create, I'm always learning. I'm always updating information in my mind, and it's an ongoing process, right? And I mean, I watched something a couple months ago that broke down what happened to Nazis after World War II in terms of did they stay in Germany, did they leave Germany, what happened in that sense. And you saw a spider web effect where, yeah, the war was over, and a lot of the people responsible for stuff that happened ended up scattered around the world. So my main point on that is we didn't stomp fascism out. We didn't stomp the Nazis out. We might have, you know, dimmed its light, but at the end of the day, it just spread throughout the world, and that's how we end up with the climate we're in today, in terms of what we're seeing for um, racist organizations or bigot organizations,
Yeah.
neo-fascism, neo-Nazis. Things have just kind of progressed, and they've gotten more up to date, for lack of better words, just like everything else has throughout time, right? Like,
I remember being, I think it was, I want to say in between 2016, no, it was like 2016, maybe a little earlier, and 2020. There was a person going around Medicine Hat, Alberta, smacking swastika stickers on everything.
yeah,
You'd walk down the tunnel, there'd be a swastika. Nazi paraphernalia, and it's like everyone's like, how are you not okay? How are you not okay with this? I'm like, how are you okay with this? Like, why are you not okay with this?
yeah,
Because Nazi is a fucking bad thing to be, and if you're okay with Nazis, you're a Nazi. Like if you have five people in a room and four of them are Nazis and you're hanging out with them and you're not stopping them, you're considered a Nazi, guilty by association. Sorry. It is what it fucking is. And I'm sorry, I'm just not okay with the I don't know more being stumbled out and the Freedom Convoy being pampered like little fucking
yeah.
children that need their fucking baba, and they need to be
And
punched the fuck out.
and back to that, because I think it's a very good point. You remind me of something I wanted to say earlier. Um, the fact is, we saw. So let's use blockades for an example, right? Because blockades were deemed illegal after they were used on the railroad system, and the rest of Canada was screaming for it to be outlawed because it was creating such a issue for the rail systems and getting things across and yada yada yada. That was the point. And when they outlawed it for doing that, it was because the indigenous were using it. And then, like Smarsh says, you come up to the convoy and they did the blockades on the borders. They were already deemed illegal per federal law at that point. So why were they able to continue the way they did for as long as they did? And
Because
then
they
you
were white
see,
and privileged. That's why.
well, and this is where exactly, and this is where the nuance comes in, right? Because this is where, again, it's hard baked into our system that the oppression is there more so for the
Right,
indigenous
Jax?
population. Pardon?
No, I was just agreeing with you and Jax. It's because they're white.
Yeah,
If it was
no,
anyone else, we'd be in jail right now. For
yeah,
right?
absolutely. And this is where, and I'll even use Ottawa, like the Capitol Hill, or however you want to say that, for an example. But that's where, again, the stark difference is you had the trucker convoy show up, and how long were they there for? They were there for weeks, okay? And
20,
there's been,
21 to 28 days.
yeah, and there, I want to say probably a good 5, 6 years, and of course before that as well. But when even small groups of indigenous people show up for some sort of protest, um, and do, whether it was a sit-in or have blocked traffic for a street in front of Parliament or something like that. Hell, there was one woman that had a single, she was the only person do a sit-in, and she was removed, I think it was after like 6 hours,
Yep.
right? So this sort of stuff where apparently, and this is what I hate right now, because I still have people in support of the trucker convoy that decide to say that their rights were trampled on, and they can't believe the way the government and law enforcement handled that, and they can't believe, okay, now think of how outraged you would be, and I know it's hard, but let's try and put ourselves in their minds and think, okay, maybe if we can try and, feel the way they do. I ask them to put yourselves in the shoes of, you were there for 21 to 28 days. How would you feel if you had a movement like that show up and you were removed after, 3 or 4 or 6 hours? Okay, and this is the biggest difference, is the trucker convoy is still a thing today. Hell, I don't even know how they did it, but they bought an old school in my community, and it sits there empty because they have some weird, strange plan for this fucking property. I don't know. But it's like, how are they so legitimized that they're able to actually buy properties under the name of the
How?
trucker convoy for whatever fucking reason?
Because again, they have the backing of the old white men, and that's the fucking problem.
Hmm. No, and absolutely, and that's where we see. I'm going to backtrack to the beginning of the show a bit, but that's where we see Pierre Poilievre and the conservatives, and how the actual politicians themselves that do support the trucker convoy and some of the nonsense that we see. And again, I've said before, there are certain points where, sure, I will agree with the sentiment of some of the stuff, because Canadians are tired and there are issues with the systems and spending and this and that. However, with the nuance, I know it's issues with education spending, with healthcare spending, with, you know, taking care of building more homes. Like, that's honestly slacking. As much as they're saying they're doing as much as they can, it's slacking. People are going hungry. Okay, more people are ending up on the fucking streets than we've seen through history in Canada at this point. Like, the trying to tell us inflation is at what they say, 3.7 or whatever the fuck it was, but yet
Yeah.
you've got pieces of meat in the grocery store that were $4 that are now $12, and it's been a fucking year, guys. Right? So when we talk about issues in Canada and we talk about what the Liberals are doing wrong as they're governing, we have plenty of criticisms. But then you have, exactly, greedflation, Jane. Thank you. I love using that word. But then you have the conservatives that look at it and say, "Oh, they're being authoritarian, or they're doing this, or
Government
we need to
overreach.
believe an AI video of apparently Mark Carney saying they're getting rid of tinted windows for vehicles." And they're bitching about individual rights because they can't go into the bush because the
Right.
whole goddamn country's on fire, let alone the
Well,
world. Go look at Spain. Go look at all these other damn countries, conservatives. It's not a fucking government conspiracy. We're trying to hold them accountable, and you're off in fucking la land thinking that, this shit is all solely on your personal rights. Get your heads out of your asses, be a part of society, and if you can't, move south of the border and fuck off already. I
um,
apologize, guys, but that's.
I love your passion. It's funny. It's absolutely riveting to see how intertwined we can all become. And I will, if you don't mind, I'll share a little story. And it actually
Mhm.
happened to my daughter's father. He was riding his bike. He lives in the same city as I do, and he was riding his bike or walking his bike, and a car hit him. And he went flying onto the hood of the car and then rolled onto the street. They called the ambulance. They blocked this guy in because he was trying to leave.
Yeah,
Whatever. The cops were trying to give him a ticket because he's indigenous. That's the kind of shit we deal with here, right? Unless if it wasn't for another lady, a white tea lady coming in and saying no, he's the victim, he would have got a $200 ticket because of who he is. And I think it's fucking disgusting. Like, he
yeah,
got hit by the car. He's not the perpetrator, but you're making him. And he was telling me the other day, like, just I think it was Friday. He was telling me about it. He's like, yeah, I got hit by a car, and I was like, oh my god, like, I'm so sorry. Like, are you okay? And it breaks my heart that this is what it's coming to. Look at the Wet'suwet'en protest. That was broke down, and that the cops were beating the shit out of them.
yep,
And for what? They're trying to help you, and they're trying to help everybody else
yeah,
survive. They're trying to make sure the ecosystem we have in Canada doesn't get polluted. But God forbid we try to help other people, right? Because that's all we've been doing is helping other people, and I'm tired of seeing my people just fucking get, railroaded by this shit, and it's
yeah,
it's disgusting.
yeah. And I honestly, at this point, there's so much of a push, I think, from so many different, for lack of better words, groups, right? Because we have First Nations, Indigenous people pushing back against all this stuff from government. We have, the working class movement. Good example is the Air Canada workers that essentially gave the middle finger to Carney and his cabinet, saying, no, like, you know what, we've had enough. And the amount of unions that showed up and surrounded that union in solidarity. Um, it's fantastic, and we're seeing that more and more and more. So many different groups, so many different demographics are just getting tired of it all, right? And this is our time. We are at the precipice of, and I've talked about it before. I'm sure you've all heard it if you've been around for some of my shows. We're looking at a second Gilded Age globally, not just in the United States, globally at this point. And at the end of the Gilded Age, we got unions, we got workers' rights, we got more equality for the time, right? So when we got all that the first time, that's what ended the Gilded Age. So what is it going to be this time, and how far are we going to have to push back to flip this one around because it's a cycle, right? Brenda's here, guys. Brenda's my girlfriend, and she'll tell you the amount of times we talk about how it's been such a cycle throughout history, right? You end up having where the imbalance ends up going towards the wealthy, and then you have the revolution or revolt from the
Hmm.
people, right? Look at the French Revolution. Look at England on numerous fucking occasions, right? Throughout medieval times. Look at, again, the Gilded Age, all these different cases where we just keep going through, and eventually the people rise up. And we are on the precipice of that again here in 2025, along with other things we're seeing globally. But essentially, it's going to be a massive shift. We're seeing a massive shift towards the right, which is what we've seen again throughout history before the revolution. And it's just a matter of time. I don't know if it's going to be in 5 years. I don't know if it'll be in 10 years. I don't know if it'll be,
Well,
whatever. But it's happening. It's going to
I,
happen.
I
People
can
have had enough, and we're fucking done with it.
I can tell you how many times people have told me, "Why don't you just stop fighting?" And I'm like, "Why? Why would I roll over and take it in the ass by the government?
Yeah. And
You
this
can tell
is,
me to, they can tell me to stop fighting all they want. The moment I stop fighting, they win.
yeah.
They win. Not happening."
And this is, yeah, this is what I've got a friend of mine who had stayed off of social media for the vast majority for, I don't know, enough years, like since during the pandemic up until like a month ago, and finally decided to put themselves back on social media because even they realize as much as we're being told not to, like you said, don't raise your voice, don't push back, don't, as much as we're being told that, the amount of people I think globally that are starting to be like, no, you know what, enough is enough, and we are going to start to push back more. We are going to start rallying more. Um, Look at the United States, and this is one of the biggest things. So, mainstream media in the United States isn't covering the situation on the ground properly. Um, DC, like nobody's covering the way DC is right now in the mainstream media in the United States because suppression of dissent is how the Trump administration is doing things, right? And this is where we might not quite be to that point. Have we seen the push here in Canada for that? Absolutely. Pierre and the Conservatives have been talking about trying to cancel the CBC for how long now, right? Uh, But so this is where like it's the global push. Everywhere is seeing the same push that way. It's just a matter of how far along we are.
Um, I don't know how everybody, like, it just, I don't know. I'm at that point where I don't know more. My whole tagline is no justice, no peace.
Yeah,
Until you give us justice, you don't get peace. I'm sorry. Like, it's not a fucking option. You give us the justice we deserve, or you don't get the peace you want. I'm sorry people don't like it. I'm sorry people question my fucking tagline. I'm sorry people just don't like it. Or, want to sit there and say, "Oh, that's not very late. That's not very, indigenous like of you." I'm like, I don't give a fuck until I get the peace I deserve with my community. Until Pacey can walk down the fucking road and not have to deal with racism. Until Nikki, Jax, Absorbed One, all the natives can walk down the street without being fucking harassed and fucking targeted. Wait, I'm not staying silent. I refuse to stay silent anymore.
absolutely.
I will wear my Punch a Nazi sweatshirt in Alberta. Fucking try me, because I will grab your fucking balls and I will twist until you cry.
I love it. I love it. All right, guys. With that all being said, I think I'm going to wrap things up for the night. Smarsh, I really appreciate you coming up. Thank you. Good to see you again. It's been so long.
You know, thank you very much, Moose. Why is it so hard to say your fucking name?
It's because I
It's so
haven't
good
been
to see
around
you,
for
Moose.
so long.
Yeah.
There you go, guys. So, like I said, I'm going to be hopping back into doing my thing again every Sunday evening. So, guys, come join me every Sunday evening again. I really appreciate everyone that came out tonight. Thank you so much. Um, yeah, we're just getting started, guys. There's so much that we can cover moving forward. So, maybe I'll get into doing a second show through the week. We'll see what happens. I'll take it day by day from now, and then we'll go from there. But looking forward to the moving forward in the adventure of being back on TikTok and what that is going to hold moving forward. Um, yeah. So again, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for all the love and support. Thank you for the gifts, everyone that you sent. I really appreciate it. And I will see you all next week for sure, if not sooner, if I decide to do another live this week coming. But all of you, take care. Have a good week. And remember, don't stay silent. Keep pushing back and make sure you keep yourself informed. The more you know, guys. I'll see you next week. My phone doesn't want to work right. Hit the button. There we go.